I think it's widely accepted that we plan our work days, plan our appointments, plan our important to-do things. But I want to introduce a different concept to you today. Planning your rest days, or planning your days off from work. Essentially, the time that you have free. The time that you have available to do what you want to do without the obligations of work and other things getting in the way. This is not about prioritizing productivity the way that it is when we plan the rest of our to-dos for work and other obligations, because in those instances, we're trying to be as efficient and productive as possible. My intention for this is for you instead to plan ahead so that you can protect your energy and have some sort of structure to fall back on so that your idle time and your time off does not simply become a doom-scrolling disaster, okay? We are going to add some intention to our free time this year, and it's going to allow us to protect our energy and really make time for the things that we want to do, okay? Let's get into this. Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. I want to propose something to you. I want you to start planning your days off and structuring them ahead of time, kind of like you would your work days. Now, like I mentioned in the introduction, the intention behind planning our work days, planning the days that we have a lot of really busy stuff going on, is often to improve time management. It's so we can be more productive and get as many things done in the window that we have. That's not the intention today. The intention today is to create some sort of structure around your idle time, because I think we all have this inclination to think that purely free time with no structure, no plan, no nothing is freedom. But what usually happens when we have a big chunk of time or an entire day that is just purely free with no plan, no intention for what we want to do, no structure, the hours tend to kind of get away from us. We often end the day feeling like we didn't really do anything. You have this lingering feeling of guilt that nothing really got done. And I don't know about you, but I find when I have a day with no structure and I try to lean into just doing nothing, there's this lingering anxiety that doesn't really allow me to fully rest, because I'm always thinking, oh, I could be doing this, or I should be doing this, or you shouldn't be resting, there's this to do instead, or what about this, or what about this? And I tend to miss out on any time of actually being able to rest and recover and recuperate for the rest of the week, because I'm kind of marinating in anxiety all day, even if I'm not really doing anything. And on top of that, when we don't have any sort of plan for the day, we're not really in charge. We don't really have control over what happens. The way that we feel and leaning into things like easy dopamine, easy quick rewards, things like scrolling on your phone, they tend to take over, or other people's needs tend to creep in, and your entire day gets away from you, and it's not really about you at all. You default to the lowest effort way of feeling good, and what you don't do is lean into anything to protect your energy, to protect your creativity, and to protect your mood long term. And our brain does not like empty space. Having empty nothingness with nothing to fill it creates anxiety. It's uncomfortable, and so your brain is going to seek out really easy, low barrier to entry ways to fill that space. And so that may look like watching TV for hours, or staring at the news, or scrolling on your phone and watching endless videos, and then the hours just fly away, and before you know it, the whole day is over and you don't feel very good, right? You don't really feel like you've accomplished anything. You don't really feel like you're rested. It doesn't feel good. And if anything, you find yourself feeling more tired at the end of the day. It almost feels like you need another day to recover from this day because you didn't really use it in the best way that you could. So this is what I want to propose. I want to propose that you add some sort of plan to your days off. And This doesn't need to be packed. This does not need to be the jam-packed, productivity-focused kind of scheduling that you would see on your work days. It's really just a loose structure so that you are not kind of anxiously wandering around trying to figure out what to do. And so I'm going to propose a few anchors that I want you to plan into your days off or into the idle time that you have, because I understand that depending who's listening, you may not have an entire day just to yourself. So this is really for the longer periods of idle time that you may have, whether it's a day, whether it's an evening, whether it's maybe Sunday morning, whatever it is. These are the 3 anchors that I want you to build in. One movement-based thing. So some way of moving your body, some way of getting some sort of exercise. This could be going to the gym, this could be going for a walk, this could be doing a yoga class, this could be following a YouTube video, whatever. Just something to move your body, get you some activity, get you moving in some sort of way. The next thing is I want you to schedule one thing you enjoy. This doesn't have to be productive. This doesn't have to be working towards anything. I want you to schedule something purely for enjoyment. Just something that just genuinely makes you happy. Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's spending time outside. Maybe it's calling a friend. Maybe it's building Legos. Maybe it's collecting rocks. I don't care. Whatever it is that just brings you joy and lights you up in some sort of way, I want you to schedule time for that. And again, doesn't need to be crazy. Doesn't need to be hours of your time. It can be a short window, but structure in some time for that. And the last one is I want you to schedule in time for one thing that supports your future self. So this could be things like meal prepping, this could be things like journaling, this could be things like organizing or cleaning something in your house. If you have like a passion project that you are working on, maybe it's putting a little bit of time towards that. Just something that will move the needle in a positive way for a future version of yourself. This is a really nice way to kind of loosely structure your day. It's not a lot of stuff, right? It's only 3 anchors, so there's not a crazy stressful to-do list of things you need to get through. But you're also not just aimlessly trying to fill the time. You have anchor points that you can lean on to guide the actions that you're taking. And something I really love about this, primarily with the second anchor of planning something that you genuinely enjoy, is because you set aside time to do that thing and it's part of your schedule and it's kind of existing alongside other things that make you feel good, like moving your body and doing something kind for your future self, I find that it allows you to really lean into the rest and the joy of it. Because like I mentioned before, when you have no plan and you're kind of just trying to fill time, there's that lingering anxiety of I should be doing this, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing something more productive. And you don't actually find yourself feeling rested. You don't actually recover during that time because you're so busy sitting in anxiety that your body really doesn't get what it needs from it. And so you structuring in the time and having something joyful and something easy, something fun that you just really like as part of the structure allows you to just fully immerse yourself in that thing without the anxiety, without the guilt, and without the shame of feeling like you should be doing something else. This was part of your plan. And it'll allow you to actually get the fulfillment and actually get the rest and recovery kind of feeling that you need from it, because you're not simultaneously trying to rest while anxiously figuring other things out. You have structured in time to fully immerse yourself in that one thing. You get to be more present during it, and it feels a lot more restorative. And the nice thing about it is it gives you something to look forward to too, because when your day off is coming up, or this chunk of time that you have off is coming up, you know you have structured time set aside for this thing that you love. You have time set aside for this thing that you find really fun and that's going to just bring you a lot of enjoyment. And so it gives you something to look forward to. So even on the other days when you're at work and you're a lot more busy and you're kind of in the more hectic parts of your schedule, you can kind of think to yourself, oh, I have this thing tomorrow that I really like. I have a couple hours tomorrow that I get to just do this thing that brings me a lot of joy. And it can kind of help propel you through the harder parts of your week. Planning your days off is really a physical manifestation of you figuring out what your values are and making that a actual part of your life. Because so much of our lives is often determined by external things. What your work needs from you, what your kids need from you, what friends and family and other people need from you. And so there's a lot of your days that are dictated by obligations, and you don't really have full control over what you do. So taking this time where you do have control and prioritizing the things that you value, prioritizing the things that are going to align with who you want to be and the kind of life that you want to have, is how you create a life that genuinely brings you joy and genuinely makes you feel fulfilled. You get to say yes to the things that you really love, you get to prioritize the things that you really love, and your kind of default mode of operating when no one's watching, when you've got nothing else you have to do, involves leaning into these things that create the person you want to be. And I think this is a really helpful strategy for preventing burnout, because when we don't have any real sort of structure for our off times, our days off and things like that, we don't really get the chance to truly disengage, right? I think we've all had days like this where we have really planned nothing and we do a lot of doom scrolling, we do a lot of anxiously thinking about what happened at work this past week, or thinking about what's going to happen at work the coming week, or dreading Monday, or catching up on emails even though we're not really supposed to be, and we're just kind of filling the time with things that make us feel anxious, honestly. So you never really get that wind down period. You never really get that time to unplug from all the stress and demands of what the rest of your life is. And so that heightened anxiety state that you're in the other days of the week when you're working and doing all these other things, it just carries on through, right through your rest days. And then you start the cycle all over again. And so there's no time to come down from it. There's no time to recoup. There's no time to recover. And you repeating that cycle over and over and over again, well, yeah, it's going to lead to burnout, because your body can only take so much of that. It's necessary for you to plan in these things on your days off so you have a structured way to recover yourself and a structured way to set yourself up to be the best version of you going into the following week. I want you to think of your days off like an appointment with yourself. I like this way of thinking about it because if you had an appointment with somebody else, maybe an appointment with your doctor or a meeting with your boss, you wouldn't cancel it. You wouldn't put it off. You wouldn't ignore it and spend your time scrolling on your phone. You would go and do it because it's a priority, because it's scheduled in your calendar, because it has to happen. Someone else is relying on you, and in this case, you're relying on you. So treat those 3 anchors, one movement-based thing, one thing you purely enjoy, and one thing that helps your future self. Treat those like appointments on your day off. Treat those like mandatory parts of your schedule. And if it helps to visualize it and bring that kind of concept to life, have a planner for your day off and literally schedule it in just like you do your work days. Plan it the exact same way so that there's an easy to see structure that you can fall back on. A way that I like to do this is I have a to-do list on my phone of general things, of just like things in my head that I want to get done, things in the future that I know I need to, do at some point. And so every time I have a day off coming up, a free day of time for myself to do the things I want to do, I'll look at that to-do list and I'll say, okay, what are the most pressing things from that list that I need to start doing? And what of these things can I add to my to-do list for this day that I'm off? And so I make a separate to-do list for my day off, and I slot in any of the things that I have time to do. And included in that list is one movement-based thing, usually going to the gym, one thing that I genuinely enjoy. Sometimes it's creating content for this podcast. Sometimes it's going for a walk. Sometimes it's painting. Right now, lately, I've been working on a Lego tree, so I've been building that in my free time on my days off, but slotting in time for one of those things. And then slotting in time for things that help my future self. And some of the things from my to-do list kind of fall into that category, but I'll also add a couple other things like throwing in a load of laundry for the clothes I want to wear to work for the coming few days, or trimming my dog's fur so he's not a raggedy mess the next week or so, or meal prepping for the next couple of days, or if there's Instagram content that I know I want to post in the coming week, taking some time to prep that. So slotting all of these things into a to-do list, so then when I wake up on my day off and I say, okay, what are we doing today? I don't have to think about it. The list is right here. Literally my only job for that day is just check the things off that list. It eliminates so much decision making, it eliminates so much anxiety. And it eliminates a scenario where I end up just scrolling on my phone to fill in the space because there's no space. I've slotted stuff in for it. So I'm just spending my day moving through the list. And as a nice little bonus to that, do you know how good it feels to get to the end of your day off and be able to check a million things off a to-do list? Just chef's kiss, okay? Checking things off a to-do list is one of the best things in the world. I am one of those psychopaths who will add things to a to-do list just so I can check it off. So yeah, this works really well for me to structure my days off that way. It might be a useful thing for you to try. Your days off are not these just nothing empty days as a segue between work days. They're important and they serve a very important purpose. And it's up to you to make sure that you get the most out of that. Okay? I don't want to see you spending your days off just wasting the time away and marinating in shame and anxiety about the things that you didn't get done. Your days off are your opportunity to propel yourself further in life by taking care of your body, by taking care of your mind, by taking care of your future self, and by leaning into the things that you love. And something else that you can keep in mind for the anchor of doing something for your future self, if there's a long-term project, if there's something that you want to build, something that you are working on that's going to take a long stretch of time, but you've never started it because it never felt like you had the time to do so, this is a good place to fit that in. You can almost make that your fourth anchor and set aside a small chunk of time during your days off to move the needle on that project in some sort of way. Whatever that may look like for you, okay? Your days off are your canvas to create, and having a structure in place is going to allow you to make the most of them, okay? So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let me know. Let me know what you end up doing with your next day off or your next empty chunk of time. Tell me in the comments how you ended up structuring things into it and whether or not that felt any different for you. Okay? I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you like the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps this show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.